Right, this is a big afternoon, especially for Bernard, who has organised the history talk today, and it's a celebration of the contribution of 4 of Chorlton Good Neighbours World War II veterans. The melodic singing group is still practising. Enid and Joan here, the volunteers, tea makers. Enid's going to look after the High Sheriff of Greater Manchester. So,
George Almond is called.
George Almond. How do you feel, Enid, having to look after someone so high up?
I'm very, very important, and I'm really impressed by the whole occasion. It's really wonderful what we're going to do here today, isn't it, Joe?
Here's Russell, our chairman. Now, Russell, what's your job this afternoon?
Tending to look after Andrei Makarenko, the third secretary
of the
Russian. He's from the Russian embassy in London.
So, how do you feel about being given that role, to look after someone who's quite high up?
As we'd say in Russian, Oshin Karasho. Very good.
Oh, you show off. And who's this little man here trying to push in?
Man with scarf and hat.
Come on from away.
Leo, what do you think you'll learn this afternoon? So, you know, the afternoon is about a celebration of the World War II veterans and their contribution. So we're going to see some film and there's going to be a presentation. Right, here's Mickie, and she is one of our ladies who is being presented this afternoon. Mickie, can I ask you how old you are?
I'm 95.
95, right, okay. And what do you feel about this afternoon? Because Bernard kind of put you on the spot, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. I'm flabbergasted.
Are you? Are you looking forward to it?
Not really, because I didn't do anything.
Of course, yes.
I didn't do anything nobody else did, you know. I'm just an ordinary person. Just did my job.
Yeah.
I thought I was here to make the numbers up.
No, you're not here to make the numbers up. You'll have a lovely afternoon, and you've got Hilda here supporting you. Okay, so we just want you to enjoy it, and it'll soon be over. You'll soon be watching Coronation Street tonight, all right?
Or is it Tyrone on the run?
Enid, you're trying to give Russell very good advice for the Russian ambassador.
So how do you do it then?
I've seen them do it on television.
Here's Bob Cowans. He's one of our Good Neighbours people, and he's going to be presented this afternoon. He was in the Arctic convoys, so we're so glad he's here. Right.
I'll let you sit next to me. Sit thee down, sir. There you are. That's it.
Marion's on the door, taking people's names. Hello. Right, you're seeing now Granada Reports are interviewing Bob Cowan for it to go out on tonight's programme on Granada Reports. These are the plaques that Bernard has organised to be presented. You could even stand them up, Bernard, if you wanted. There's the glass plaque. So you can see there the plaques. They're glass. There's one for Mickie Mitchell, and you can see there's a fire engine on it. On John's, there is a warboat.
A destroyer.
A destroyer. And then on Alan's, there's the Spitfire. And again, obviously on Bob's, because he was in the Arctic convoys, a destroyer. So they're all quite personalised, which is brilliant. And the High Sheriff of Greater Manchester is going to present them to the people, and also Andrei Makarenko from the Russian embassy. Before we start, the big question, how are you feeling?
A little bit nervous.
Because?
Well, you just want everything to go well, and when you're dealing with whether people turn up, whether the computer will work, whether the films will work. There are a lot of things that can go wrong, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
We've got the main people here, so we're just waiting for people to turn up, and we'll get started in about 14 hours' time.
Yeah, very good. You've done a brilliant job. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. What? How does it work? Do they come up for tea, or do you go up and say?
Usually come up, but maybe it's going.
Yeah. Do you mind? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want? Here, who's turned up to present the awards, and in the background there you can see Granada Reports, and Bernard is running through the programme with the High Sheriff. Hello. So the hall is really filling up now. So it's absolutely brilliant. The hall is really busy now.
Hello.
So
That's better, isn't it?
there we are. We've got the High Sheriff, we've got the Russian representative, we've got 3 of our veterans here, and we're just waiting for Alan Wood and his wife Joan to turn up.
Take time getting in, but we're going to get started fairly soon, and the programme might vary a bit because we've got Paul here from Granada TV at the back, and they always have deadlines, and so we might have to do the presentation of medals before we intended to, in order to get it on Granada TV and see ourselves all on telly. Welcome
Someone down there.
the individuals here. First of all, our 2 guests from all the way from the Russian Embassy of the Russian Federation in London, Andrei Makarenko, who will be presenting the medals later on. And George Oldman, the High Sheriff of Greater Manchester, who's here. The low sheriff couldn't make it. Most importantly, we now have here Bob Cowan. Bob, do you just want to raise your hand? There he is. John Mackay, don't spill your cup of tea, John, but Mickie Mitchell, Mickie, just raise your hand. Yeah, there she is. And Alan Wood, I saw him somewhere, but where's he got to? Over there, yep, getting ready. I think some of you know the background to it, but it really started when Mary handed me a letter that had been given to Bob by the Russian embassy last summer, I think it was, offering him the Medal of Ushakov. And it then led to a very long process of trying to find out what was going on. And eventually I got through to the Russian embassy, and they said, well, we'd love to give him the Medal of Ushakov, but the British government won't allow us to do that. That's right, isn't it, Andrew? And that is still the case. That is still the case. So we're trying to make sure that there is a real understanding of what's going on there. But the outcome of this was, we mounted a campaign. There was a front page of the Evening News. It was on Granada TV Reports, and there were also questions in the House of Commons. And eventually, just before Christmas, David Cameron announced that there would be a British Arctic Convoy Star Campaign medal. So, we weren't the only ones campaigning, but I think our little campaign that started off with that letter was actually remarkably successful. The thing that hasn't changed is that the Medal of Ushakov is still not allowed to be presented. However, he's going to present a commemoration medal to the Arctic Convoy survivors. They're obviously, these 2 are not the only ones who've served their country in World War II, and we've got 2 other representatives of that generation here. Alan Wood, who was a fighter pilot, and Mickie Mitchell, who drove petrol wagons around Manchester during the Manchester Blitz, which is not the most pleasant of things to have done, I had ever thought. So, nor are we to say that these are the only ones. There are people here who died recently. We have Joan Johnson. The other aspect was to celebrate World War II, people who'd served during World War II. There are others, they're not the only ones that we've got, but we thought they were representative of a really extraordinary generation. And we owe them a huge debt, and all of these ones who are presenting awards to are in their 90s. They're not getting any younger. And I think it's a good celebration to have. They're called by some the greatest generation, but one of the things that came out of interviewing them all that I found is when you ask them, well, why did they do such extraordinary things? And they said, well, you just did it. You didn't really think about it. Maybe every generation might have that kind of challenge set in front of them. Well, the subsequent ones haven't had it in the same way, certainly, and I think we can learn an awful lot from them. That's why, if you look at our website, chorltonneighbours.org, chorltongoodneighbours.org, there are lots of these case studies and videos in much greater depth than I'm able to do today. The first I'm going to talk about is Mickie Mitchell, who's driving petrol lorries through wartime Manchester. And women were required, but as you'll see from the short video with Mickie, they weren't too keen on having women doing the driving. But she wasn't having any of it. She said, well, either I get driving or I'm not getting involved. So she did, and she, well, I think you'll find some of the story quite remarkable. There's a picture of her in lorry at the top left. And I don't know where this was taken. Is that you in the middle, Mickie? Yep. By the water somewhere. And as well as a wartime service, which we'll talk about, she also went on to, as part of the army, fire service, to serve in post-war Hamburg, which was absolutely devastated by war, and has got some very interesting photos of what happened there. And also, she went on there from one hotspot, if you like, to Palestine. It's quite a remarkable life, and this goes for all of them. It's with the Arctic convoy survivors, they're veterans. They went on to the Japanese campaign, so that, for example, Bob walked through Hiroshima a couple of days after the bomb. Everything was flat. He was present at the signing of the armistice with Japan. You know, that he was also involved in the Malta convoys, if anybody's seen the recent films about those too. So when you say that in the Arctic convoys, and that's the worst posting of the war, they then went on to other things. You just moved on from posting to posting. What I'm going to do now is just show a short video that I did with an interview with Mickie.
Off one day and joined up. I said, I'm coming in the fire service, but I want to be a driver. They didn't want women in the fire service, did they? You know, and anyway, then I was stationed at Withington Fire Station. First time I ever saw a dead body was a house. I don't know, it'd been a raid or something in Moss. I had a great big house, and the farmer said to me, don't go in the room on the left. He said, because some burnt bodies there and it's not nice. So I said, okay. Anyway, I went out to the DO and he said, I think I've left my lamp in the room on the left. And I thought, oh my God, I said yes, sir, and I went in and there was 3 burnt bodies, they were dead, and the smell stays with you all your life, burnt flesh. And I came out and I said, I can't find it, sir. He said, oh, you'll do. He said the driver on the other shift would have fainted.
Driving like these petrol lorries around.
Yeah.
I mean, even if a spark had got you, that would have been it.
Yeah, it would have gone up.
Weren't you kind of very worried about that?
Well, yeah, I'm used to being frightened.
Alan Wood was a fighter pilot. He flew a range of different planes, but I think probably the Mosquito and the Boat Fighter were the most common ones he flew. So there he is, Pilot Officer Alan S. Wood, and another picture of him too. He was at RAF Banff off the northeast coast of Scotland, and they were responsible for attacking German shipping off Norway. And I've got a short video about...
Where was he based?
Oh, he trained in Scotland, Banff in Scotland, and out to Canada and trained there, and came back. He was mainly in coastal command. So when he was, one time he was ditched, and he spent 4 days in the North Sea in a one-man dinghy, and they weren't even looking for him. But he never talked about it because there was an embargo, they weren't allowed to.
Right.
So it wasn't until 50 years that I heard some of the things that, but now he recalls stuff, and of course all the young men that lost, he were, one way, 22 went out and 3 came back.
The Banff Strike Wing enjoyed a spectacular success during its brief life on the exposed north-facing coast of the Murray Firth.
Can I suggest that we make the presentation of the plaques, which are on behalf of Chorlton Good Neighbours, as our regards for these two people initially, to Mickie Mitchell and to Alan Wood. And I'd like to ask Joel Ormond if he'd like to come up and make that presentation. Okay, Mickie Mitchell, you go on the other side of the line. Thank you. Now this was a campaign that we ran. This was on the front of the Evening News. World War II hero 93, now 94, told you can't have bravery medal. And did a very good job, as did Granada TV in the programme that was on about it, to alert everybody to what was going on in this. And it's been partially successful in that there is now going to be an Arctic Convoy medal, which there never has been before, which seems absolutely remarkable that there wasn't. John Mackay was in the Arctic Convoys, on several Arctic Convoys, so many in fact he can't remember the number of them. On the HMS Keppel, HMS Keppel accounted for at least 4 submarines in its life. And again he said that it's the ordinary things that are extraordinary. He said when we were under attack, I wasn't bothered about the fact that I was under attack, but the fact that I was going to miss my meal. Because you didn't know when you were going to get your next one. It was very, that's true, isn't it, John? I remember you saying that. It's
Convoys, the most deadly and hazardous missions of World War II. Their cargoes of weapons were crucial to Russia's survival and the Allies' defeat of Nazi Germany. Yet for the men who sailed the ships and defended them, the convoys demanded endurance beyond the call of duty. Despite their extraordinary bravery, the sailors and airmen who got the convoys through to Russia never received a campaign medal.
Moving on quickly to short pieces of the interviews, again, which are available in longer form on the website. First of all, I'll do the one with John Mackay, and then one with Bob, and then we'll have the presentation. Thank you for that. Thank you very much, John. And secondly, Bob, would you like to come? Medal ceremony. Andrei, can I introduce Andrei Makarenko, who's from the Embassy of the Russian Federation.
Very happy to be here today, and I'm glad that we had this opportunity to award those brave men in person. I would be even more happy if we were allowed to present them with Ushakov medal, as you have heard, but unfortunately it's still blocked by your government. But I hope that sometime the rulings will be changed and there will be exemptions for foreign awards, which wouldn't be problems for us to award these medals.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming today. It's been a grand do, I think, and it's a good memory for a lot of people about what really happened in the past. And I hope that, people that will hear more about this, that they've got to think twice when they're thinking about wars.